The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the Divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put. Okay, now that you got the idea that the bad guys are editing the text, I'm going to show you and prove to you that there are hidden formats within the text written by the first writers. So we have witnesses from the first writers from 2,700 years to maybe 2,200 years ago. And this is the Hebrew side of the text, by the way. I'm doing Isaiah, and this will be Isaiah 9. I'm showing you what I found in Isaiah 8, and you can see I've got a 4-verse group going here, so you see a 3-verse above me right now. But what I'm doing here for a 4-verse is these 2 verses together make a longer sentence, and then it happens again, but this becomes a paragraph. And then when that does that again, I have 2 paragraphs, but when you read them together, they'd make really one large paragraph. So then the style is that I put 2 spaces here. Now to find these formats, what I'm using is 2 words that I believe that are the most important words to make that verse or that sentence. So you see 2 and 1 here. And then I connect them with the least amount of smallest words I can think of, or to make it read smoothly, becomes the format that you see today. Now, I've got to whoops, I forgot to get my Stream Deck here, turn that on, and be able to quick edit like that. And what you're seeing here is that all of a sudden it become a 3-verse format instead of a 4-verse format. So I'm putting them like this, or dividing them up this way. So what I'm going to do with the pieces, I'm going to put all the 4 together and all the 3-verse together, and use the best text from them, and then I'm going to put them in hopefully a chronological order. Now, a lot of the texts that I've been finding I have noticed that they are from like what they had originally wrote from the book of Kings or the prophet's name or the book under that prophet. So sometimes it becomes only a small piece, and you can see I've got another 3 verse that needs to connect with this that is not here. So when I go over this text, I need to make some extra editings, and at the end of the last video I went through and I corrected this. But now I'm going to start chapter 9, and then at the end I will do the cleanup of it again. So pretty much, unless you don't want to listen to what I'm recording for history as my reason for changing words or getting rid of words, then you can skip right down to the end and see that text. Now I have other text right down here. You can see that I'm telling you that I've got some books in the description that you can download for free, and you can take a closer look at them, because I have started putting some of the books together, and they're pretty much the end of the books, or of the ending of the kingdoms of, or it was the kingdom of Judah, and then the return. So the thing here is because this is the Hebrew text, and it's always better to correct the text going backwards for the simple, as books go, as to, because I know what the future text says, so I don't want to add words that I might find a format of, and then have to come back and say, well, look, I learned this later, so I got to come back and correct this to mean it's this nation or not nation. Because like right now, I'm finding text from before Isaiah's time. Isaiah is said to be a prophet during these 2 kings. Now, usually a prophet starts at about 15 years old, and then most people don't live beyond 65. They average between 60 and 70. Some made it to 80, but very few. We have a couple kings that might have lived 80 years old, but our Creator let them live that long. But it is written in their text, 60 to 70 years was the most common time. They were dying between 60 and 70. So if we just say that he starts at 15 years old, and then we got to put this 50 years that he's actually a prophet, then he only falls within these 2 kings, okay? So, but you can see the fall of, this is Israel's kings, and then you can see there's a falling, Syria has taken them here and captured them, taken them into captivity, which means that right about here, I believe in the timeline, is when this has happened, okay, where 7 of the tribes were taken away. Now, what we do have in Jeremiah or Isaiah so far is this absence of time that it was being prophesied, but it hasn't been prophesied about this king yet. So now that you got an idea where Isaiah is at in the text, I will try to explain what I know about all the stories. Now, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I'm pretty much an expert at this. And in the description below on that side, you're going to find our Creator's hidden formats, which is a whole new other ball game. And that is the most important text, and that is where I got the king's timeline. And it was so accurate that I'm saying it within 1 or 2 years, plus or minus, of the accuracy of all those times that the kings lived. So what happens is I try to example. Here's we got treated in the land of Zebulun. Now Zebulun, let's see here. If I go like that, this is Zebulun that has Nazareth in. Okay, so I immediately have to understand what this text is talking about by saying that. And Naphtali, again, that is in Israel's land, because Judah was these two, and these 10 tribes were the nation Israel. So Naphtali is here, Zebulun is here. Okay, so now you have to understand that we're now talking about text that is before Assyria has come down and laid claim to the land and taken away Israel. Now, before I get into everything else, there is other times that these are talked about, and that is with another king in the timeline that is from this time. Okay, so that's, and Ezekar is mentioned at that time, the tribe Ezekar, which is next to Zebulun. Now, there will be no more gloom, for who was anguish. In early times he treated the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali with contempt. But later on he will make it glorious by the way of the sea, and on the other side of the Jordan, Galilee for the Gentiles. So now that I have this text, this very statement here for the Gentiles, okay, now let me show you something that happened in the timeline here. Let me just use this here. That this king here lost East Manasseh, okay? So East Manasseh, for all these years here, have been under rule of the Armenians. So if I grab, come on, oops, we're this side. So if I grab this text, because this area has fallen a long time ago, okay? So now this is the land of the pagans, not Gentiles, but pagans, okay? So I will correct the text and say pagans, but they're the Armenians. Well, maybe I'll put Armenians. That way it'll be more correct. I think I got that spelt wrong here. I'm pretty sure I do. And I'm not going to correct the rest here. But now I got to go back up here. Where am I at? Okay. So this is the correct group of people that are here. So this means Lake Galilee. Okay. So I have to add the word if you understand that lake, the Galilee is always as a lake, then I don't think I need to put that in there. Now, when it says on the other side of the Jordan, I think I have to go over here and find a better map. Okay, this will be good. Okay, now the Jordan River is this blue line here, and then the blue line here, and these are all rivers, okay? Now remember, this is fallen. Land of the pagans, East Manasseh was the first one to fall because they went after another god and goddess. So what this means is crossing this river to this to be beyond on Galilee's on this side of Galilee. Okay, so across this river is what they're talking about. They could be talking about this, but you notice what land we're talking about here, or tribe's land. Okay, so now that you've got what's going on here, now it comes up. Oops, what happened? How come it didn't? Oh, shift key doesn't do anything. That's right. Okay. it would be from the land of from. Okay, from the land, and I'm going to use a capital letter right now. These might be our creator's words, but right now I'm designating that as, that means when you're reading it, the way I've got this coded, that means the promised land. For Nephthaliah. And this is not going to be any good. But later on, he'll make it. Now, how do I do this? Because on the other side, on the east side of Galilee, that's what's going on for the Armenians. So I need this over here, and I don't need to actually say the Jordan. Everybody should know that they got to cross the Jordan River to get there. And this would not be the other side, it would be the east side of Galilee for the Armenians. Got quite a bit knowledge there so far today. On the east side of, okay. By the way of the sea. This has to be 2, if I'm reading, trying to smooth it out, to the east side of Galilee for Jordan, for Armenians, which means I have to make this as, I'm thinking this is the way Jesus is going to travel, okay? So it's going to be, this is about Jesus walking the land. This has got to be from. If I got 2, I got to have from. Where is he coming from? So from, whoops, not from, do I put from the roads to the sea? I'm going to put roads. From the roads sea. It has to be like the word then to make any sense for these to connect. Yeah, then to the east side of the Galilee for the Armenians. People who walk in darkness will see a great light. So we know we're talking about Jesus. So what do I have up here? This has to be a capital R. This has to be for, not of. I don't think this, he treated, or early times he treated the land. No. This I gotta say is out. This I gotta say is out. Trying to put a female deity in here on these words is always. There will be no more gloom in and for Zublin and the land of Zublin. So this does come up and this gets removed for Naphtali. If there's three more, this is not needed. There will be, and this fuchsia colored word is a word that they added in this 1977 NSAB, and this text is the 1977 NSAB, copied word for word in order. Then when I divide it like this becomes a different style, and it gives me permission to actually be editing the text and showing you what I'm doing with it. There will be no more gloom, comma, in the land for Zublin, period, and the land for Naphtali. Okay, it's a 3 verse. I got this wrong. So this is this and like this. Okay, there will be no gloom. Now, when I see this word like this, I have to go to the NSAB and kind of say, where is the word gloom here? And what you're going to see, it's used once. It's out of all the Hebrew words ever wrote in the Bible, one time this is used. So that doesn't help me any, except for maybe that is the only time that the word gloom they actually used, which would surprise me. So let me bring you back here. There will be no gloom. What's another thing? Because I don't think they had that word back then. A sadness. There will be no discourse. There will be no I guess I'll leave it gloom. There will be no gloom in the land for Zebulun and the land for Naphtali. From the roads to the sea, then to the east side for Galilee for Armenians. He will make it glorious, and we don't know who he is except for that we know, but they haven't introduced his name yet. But you can see by, let me see the map here. Whoops, not that map. This map, that you can see that there's this river that comes out here. So he's going to cross from here to here and then go to here, is the way the text is saying. And you can tell by the colors, these are what I came up with as boundary lines. And I've got Naphtali owning this land, and usually I don't do that. Some reason why I must have done this. Because otherwise it would be stopping here and this road would be along this side. This, by the way, is the highway that goes through all the way through Israel, the land of Israel. So now you know what the highway was and everything came to it. But that road's been traveled a long, long, long time. So he's going to cross through here. because he's got it. And actually, I know Jesus's path, he kind of walks along the seashore here, or the lake shore. But they're saying he's not going to go past this. He's going to walk around this and here to get to here. He's picking up the disciples, by the way, when he's up here in Lake Galilee. So, okay, I think you've seen enough of me. So what I'm going to do is put up Psalms for a while, and that way you can look at what I've already done and take some screenshots to read that, or like I said, in the description of YouTube, there will be description of the text. And I see I got a comment that I don't know when you put that up. There's no timeline. Sorry about that. Oh man, I'm just going to call you Mr. Oz. Look, Ozar. Anyway, I'm wishing you the best. How was your week? My week has been terrible. I don't know if somebody put something in my gas tank, so I've had to be dealt with a car for a while. Had to my gas tank cleaned and a new fuel pump. Computer ain't working right. It's been a mess. But anyways, I guess it's not quite normal, but a few bumps in the road. How's your day going? Sorry I didn't see your message there. That's just bad of me doing that. Because I know I get hooked on what I'm saying here because I'm trying to teach here. But I see your first time you're with me, so I'm hoping you're still around and you see actually prophecy before you. So appreciate you stopping by. So do I use this? I can't use the word later. I can say that he will make it glorious, but it's not, you don't make land glorious. So I guess I will keep this because it's going to be the time for, let's put it this way, the people that are most still dedicated, obedient to our Creator are up in this Galilee area, okay? The rest of the land there are believers, but not as strong as they are in a larger multitude. And that's the people he went to that you hear of a lot of things that Jesus did is around Lake Galilee. So, all right, now there is no gloom in the land. There will be no gloom. From the road to the sea, then to the sea, Lake Galilee. You know, these two almost sound like they need to be reversed. But it is true that when he goes into Galilee, this becomes true. I'm using the New American Standard because I have this text right here in a software program, and the software program no longer exists because what I can do with it is I can click on this, and then you can see actually they listed how many times they use this word for this Hebrew word. So this is why I use it. This also assists me when I need a different word than what I see on the screen. I go through here and I'll find, as you can see, there's many words to pick through for this word. You know, like 851 times for the word whom 345. But a lot of times they'll use the word anyone once and then everywhere twice, or opposite, almost like opposite, like how. Reason once, powder once. Yeah, it is a real neat program. This is on a virtual machine. It's so old. I think the last time it came out was in 1996. So it's one of those that you have to run it on XP or a virtual machine, which is faking out a new machine to say that it's running under XP, a 32-bit program, because this program is actually an 18-bit program. So, but it's challenging because it also shows a lot of corruption of the text. I usually show this screenshot in my intro, and that is like this, and you can see that if I click on the word which, I've got it over here, then it comes down here, and it's used this many times. But when you read the words in red here, highlighted in red, like how do they get them words out of that word? And then it's like, here is the word so. This is the Hebrew word for so, and yet they use this Hebrew word for 7 times for so. So, and I did try to go back and try to correct the text by saying which one is the most used word and try to go, you can't do that. They have corrupted the text so much over the years. It's not funny. But what NSAB did is put this out, and then when I had to notify them when I owned the copyrights using their text word for word. But what I did was I put it into another style, which became the first of a kind in history. My copyright lawyer went crazy when he said I couldn't do it. Give me free time, back in 84, I think. And he said I couldn't do what I did. Come on up. And when he looked at it, he couldn't believe it. And then he went searching, and he found that little loophole that, yes, I can, as long as I put it in a different style. And what I did was, let me show you where I began. This is, what happened was I was reading the Bible. And what happened to me was I was reading Psalm 78. And what happened was I read these words right here, where Moses split the rocks in the wilderness, and then behold, he struck the rock. And I says, this is out of order. The rocks can't split until he does this. So what I did was I went and took the text onto a computer, divided them into sentences, then I divided them again into smaller sentences, and then I ended up grouping them together. And this is so rhythmic, so rhythmic. Listen, my people, to my instruction, incline your ears to the words of my mouth. Just beautifully awesome words when you read it that way. But once I learned that, it was kind of like, okay, I had it on tape as well, the Bible on tape. And as I was listening to it on the way to work, when I realized that all of a sudden I could hear this rhythmic all over in the Hebrew text. I was popping in different tapes and listening. It took me a half hour to get into work. I lived quite a ways away. And then I realized, okay, now I've got these verses in groups. And then what I did was I found out that on this side, this is where the location is at, and this is where I needed to stick the text. I actually needed to take this and bring it underneath here, not this above it. And what I ended up with is this. And this is where it became truthful. But what I seen was this beautiful poetry-like format. So, and I've been continuing ever since. Now, I have to tell you one other thing. Our Creator made me see him when I was like 7 years old, okay? And again, he made me see him at 16 and at 24. And the last time, out of the 8 times he made me see him, I think I was 34 years old the last time. If you understand the text, or read about the helper in, I think, Luke and in Matthew, I think, those two books, about a helper who is supposed to come and edit the text correctly and tell the truth. Then, let's see, this here. I'm pretty much the helper, okay? When my helper comes, he will bear witnessing of me. Our Creator made me witness him. At 7 years old, what I did was, when I was sleeping, our Creator gave me a vision. He appeared as in the black, deep darkness. He showed himself to me as a circle of white light. And his hand came out almost all the way up to his elbow, and I ended up standing in there. But he gave me a vision of climbing, because every time I wanted to come home, he reversed me and stuck me out, and he made me kind of climb down this rope to a box that had rope around it. And so there's like, this is the box that he's wanted me to fulfill, to correct. So this is, the other times I found out how to go into the abyss. When you're young and you end up jacking off, you release your seed, well, then you learn the hard way that you can't stop doing releasing your seed. But I found out by not releasing my seed and it coming out of my body that somebody's doing this to me. So in my description on YouTube, I have proof of afterlife. And in there, I tell you exactly what happens to you when you do this repeatable path to visit the abyss. Any male from 13 years old and up can do this and have no problem with talking to those that have left this earth. But you're doing it in your soul. Now, there are people on this earth that meditate to have sex with a so-called goddess. I'm going to show you some text here in Malachi 2:11. Now, Jeremiah calls her the Queen of Heaven, okay? But here, this is Malachi 2:11, and this is Judah, meaning the nation, married the daughter of a foreign god. Well, that means this is a goddess, okay? So, now that you know that that's called marrying, what they do is meditate, okay? Ra is the sun god, and the moon goddess is his daughter. And you see, here's Athena in Rome with this moon, crescent moon, and it's related to the goddess. So this is Ra, this is his daughter, the moon goddess. And once a year, a male's maleness retracts inside his body. So this is on the Vatican wall. This you'll see in drawings, and you'll see it also in the zodiac signs. So this has been around a long time. So these, because it retracts inside the body, this is known as mankind, okay? So it's these people that walk in darkness really needs to be sits in darkness. Just, you came perfectly at the time, because I can bleed right back in to start editing the text. People who sit in darkness. So if I put sit here, and I don't need the word people, and use the major words to find this format as this is an important word and this is an important word. Oh, this is important. These two are more important to get the subject across, so I'll allow this word to be here, because if you look up here, I've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. too. So that's how the format starts appearing when I'm doing this. So I got to be consistent, because you can see what's on the Psalms here that are coming up, how beautiful they are. And if you read them, it reads stunningly, because some of them 3 verses, the first verse is a statement, and the next 2 have its understanding of the statement or explains the statement. Where this format, okay, this is that format. Here's this, and you kind of like, what's this mean? In the land of Zebulun, in the land of Naphtali. Okay, but this makes a paragraph. Now, this why this is important, because this second paragraph, these 2 will go together. Okay, what happens is okay, let me tell you what happens the other 7 times. What I learned was that how to lay on a couch with my knees bent and leaning against the back of the couch. I ended up falling asleep, but I'd set a timer to wake me up at about, I think 12 o'clock. And then when I laid back down, I would put my fingertips on my maleness. And once you start having a hard on, your fingers are going to move just a slight bit. But at that moment that your fingers move, you actually all of a sudden become aware of everything that's going to happen in your dreams. And your dreams are not really dreams when you do this, because what you're going to find out is your body is leaving the land of the living, and your soul is now in the abyss. Think of it as the universe with no stars, just a deep, dark, black emptiness. And beings are floating around all the same way, all upright, okay? And they'll come and talk to you. Well, in that video, I tell you that if you want to act like a god like them out there, because they're going to really show you things that are going to amaze you, they create everything from your mind. They read your mind. They understand what happened that day. So they're going to give you a dream about that. There is no light source out there in the abyss. So the thing here is they're trying to use your light source to gather energy for them. They think they can keep this energy of what you're giving off. Your soul is not like their soul. Your soul is a little bit brighter than theirs out there. But when a baby cries, he becomes more excited the more he glows. They're trying to absorb. So now you know why babies wake up crying. But when you release your seed, there is a large burst from your body that they try to collect. Okay? But since you're now aware of them out there, and you're going to remember everything, every little tiny thing that happens. When you wake up, you're going to find that, gee, I was there for 4 hours of our time, but it's only going to seem like maybe half hour, 40 minutes of their time. But you're going to remember every word, everything, just like you have your eyes open right now and can remember the last 30, 40 minutes. Now, I tell you that when you're falling asleep, that you should start thinking about what you want to create when you go over there. Such as start simple with a boat, an animal, and just will it when you're there. Then you can will yourself and you'll start flying around, moving around. But they'll come to you and they'll start talking to you. And as long as you don't fight with them, you're okay. Me, I've been over there so many times, I started talking to them, they started beating me up. Well, the only thing is I'm kind of a little stubborn. I found out they weren't killing me. So the next night I went back in, and the next night I would go back in. And sooner or later I got pretty famous down there, because I had some real strong ones that tried to literally freeze me to death to kill me. And then our creator wouldn't let that happen to me. So next thing I know, my head would jerk back. I would see his light and I'd fly up to his light, and then my eyes would open on Earth again. So that's pretty much how it happens. And I'll tell you right now, if you're 1995, I actually, when there was 1995, I don't think there's 20 million web pages out yet. In 1995, no, there was only 9. I had my site up at 9. I had my website up at when there was less than 9 million web pages. And what I found, because it was such a small knit group, I found a place where those that have PhDs and were on this one site, and they were all discussing their practice of female goddess. And I went on there and they tried kicking me off. I went to, because there's like 4 boards. I actually closed one of the boards down, but it wasn't very active. But the Buddha board, there would be, this is like 1995, and there would be like 300 messages a day. So it was like the only place for them to meet and talk. So what I did was I challenged them in Buddhism. And when they found out that, because in Buddhism, the smartest person in the group, you have to make him king, like we play King of the Hill, okay? In Buddhism, they started it, okay, that way of knowledge. Who has the most knowledge? And what you do is ask a question, you tell them the answer, and then you ask them a question. The one who cannot answer the question has to set off to the side. Well, after 2 days of me answering all their questions, them not answering it, there was only like one person left. And he wouldn't give up because he wouldn't answer my question. He just kept asking me questions and questions, but I kept answering them all. And then when he said, okay, yes, you know more than everybody here. And I said, okay, now the question you didn't ask me was, when I say our creator made me see him, is it repeatable? Because in Buddha practice, everything is repeatable. You meditate at the same time, you stop meditating, or you stop jacking off, you start trying to hold your seed in body. These things will happen on the inside of your body. Example, let me show you here. If you've ever seen these pictures here, this is what's going on inside your body at this time. Okay, example, where is a real good one? Okay, red hot energy right there for the sex. Okay, and then the energy moves up your backbone. Okay, and then at the end, yes, you start getting fluid on the top of your head during certain days, certain times of the day. So all this stuff is all these guys talking back and forth what happens before they see the female goddess. So once they did that, I said, okay, well, this is that video I told you about that says afterlife visit, proof of afterlife in my video description. I told them that. I wrote it out for them. And about 2 weeks later, I noticed that is YouTube behind me? I just looked at the screen to see where YouTube is at, and boy, I hope they're not a half hour behind my delay here. But that just means I'd have problems on YouTube. It's sticking. But the thing here is they found 2 guys that were able to, because they were very righteous, our creator allowed them to, he redeemed them, because they had to go in there and have to proclaim our creator is truly exists. Okay. And then they try to kill you. And then when they come back, it was all of a sudden, stories in the newspaper about teleporting by laser white light. Talking to the dead is easy. All this kind of encryption for them. But what they did was they started running the letter X. Because when a male's malleus retracts inside his body, it is during Halloweeny time, okay? Now, if you're observant to your television, you will notice that the letter X is being shown in products on TV ads. And the last time I counted was probably 8 years ago. There was over 100 products that were coming up with the letter X in them. It wasn't like that in 1995, very few, but they were running that same commercial over and over and over. But they're trying to say the coding, to read code, it means exit out, X your practice out. Stop doing that. You've probably heard of Xfinity, okay? This product started coming out. They started changing the name from Comcast, where the letter C was representing that crescent moon on Halloweeny time, or on the Islamic flags. And all of a sudden, all the C's started disappearing. C was the most popular letter when you went into the stores and looked around at products. Now it's the letter X. And I've slowly seen this go around the world. Now, this practice is very much like watching the X-Men. There are good X-Men and then there's bad X-Men. Okay, the good X-Men are helping humans. The others, well, they're still in that practice and they haven't caught on yet to the story. So that's what all the X-Men were. The Matrix was them coming out of it and actually seeing the destruction they were doing on man as overall of a society by doing their practice, how they were just made it chaos out here. But so I would say if you walk into a drugstore right now and look at the aspirins and read all the aspirin labels, you're going to find that you're not going to find, maybe you might find one or two aspirin that don't have a letter X in them. And when you see that, you're going to be shocked. And then you can start looking around and you're going to see almost all the X's in all the products. And now you know how big mankind was. The secret society behind everything was just having this practice of sitting and meditating to have sex with a female goddess. That's the way they thought life should be, because it has been going on since before the Great Flood, okay? I can show it to you even in the Great Pyramid. So the doorway entrance is on the north side, north up here in the head. The door opens left of the center of it on the east side. So east side is when you meditate to the moon goddess coming up from the horizon. But all of it's encrypted and encoded. It's called proof of afterlife. And I tell you, it's simple enough for a male of 13 years old to do this 3 times. You only really need to do it once to convince you that, okay, there is another dimension of time and space. And when I say that our Creator talks to Cain and says, Abel is calling me from the ground, that was the place underneath the ground. There was an empty space of darkness because there is no light down there. Some pagans would call it the netherworld, the underworld, stuff like that. So, example, yeah, I would say just watch that video. You'll get all the answers to do this. Now I know that they're gonna be able to do. Yes, that's the one. Yes, it is. So Actually, it's if you're a good guy, I hope you are. If you do that practice, it'll only take once that'll happen. But I try to explain in there that if you released your seed, it's going to take another 4 or 5 days before you sleep with a heart on at night, and that depends on age too as well. So there's guidance there in that, but I go in depth. I even tell you that I've seen Satan and give a description of Satan, because I've seen Satan I think 3 or 4 times now. But yeah, he does want your soul. Definitely agrees, give you anything for your soul. So when you see these people come out of nowhere and become popular and filthy rich, yeah, they've made a deal with Satan just to be happy here. They don't get it. It's forever. So, but, okay. The people who sit in darkness will see not a great light, his light, meaning Jesus. Jesus as light. So I'm going to add this, get rid of this. We'll see his great light. For those I don't need 2 people or 2 things to describe. For those in the darkness, well, I can grab both these then. His light will shine on them. Okay, which means his knowledge of him. But this is our Creator's prediction. But this is Jesus. So a lot of these are going to be like, oops, this has got to be coming from our Creator. So his light, I can't put that in red, will shine on them. Okay, so now this is still needing a second verse, because right now I'm saying this one and this one are a group, although these 2 are really good because they're still talking about Galilee. But some of these writers are so smooth that they just blend it so well together that it's okay. Well, this is a 4 verse. That's not good. So where is the 3? Okay, when were you 34? You experienced some. In there, I tell you, that was the last time our Creator made me see him. So I took a lot of trips from 16 to 34, as you say. I really tried to convince them over there on the other side, and they tried killing me 7 times. But hey, it just goes to my stubbornness of my way of life that I don't care. I don't care if you try killing me. I'm going to let you know. So, okay. Man, I can't believe YouTube is that far off. Come on, refresh this. Because, I mean, I got text half hour ago. Okay, it shows that you guys are and YouTube are there at this time. So, but I've got a 4 verse instead of 3 verse. But those are too well connected. See, these are connecting like this and this become a statement. This and this become a statement. Where up here, this is the statement, or it's a period, and this is a comma, and this is a period, that these two define what this is. I'm not going to force it right now. Because, see, I've already got them sitting in darkness. I could get rid of this verse to make the 3 verse format. Because if I got darkness here and darkness here, those in darkness, that's who right here who sit in darkness. So I should have spotted that when I was doing it, and I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to do it right now and say this is all out. Because now this becomes the comma, this becomes the statement as to say what's going to go on, and this is what's going to go on. The people who are sitting in darkness. The people, no, who are saying, I don't need the word the. Like a gully, two who are sitting in darkness. To who are sitting in darkness will see his light. And that's just Jesus coming, his light. Now, it's got to be the word for here, for his light will shine on them. For his light will shine on them. Okay. But you know what? I don't know if these two go together or the above two go together. So somewhere, because this is starting to change where it doesn't mean nothing here. When you you will multiply the nation, you will increase their gladness. He, not you, he, Jesus will multiply his kingdom. And maybe it's his nation. Maybe all this time I should make it, instead of Jesus' kingdom, a nation. No, it's going to be one. Nation is made of many, so it's got to be, well, it's going to be of many races. So, anyways, multiply his nation. He's going to gather more people. I guess I'm going to leave it as nation, even though I know it's kingdom. I understand. See, I'm trying to use the word kingdom as like the kingdom of Egypt, the kingdom of Babylon, the kingdom of whatever. But when it comes to the tribes, lands being pieces, that I'm using as nation. So when you read the word nation, you always understand it's one of the 2 tribes or all of them. So But if they're all going to become in his kingdom, there is no other kingdoms. I'm going to put kingdom here. I've kind of gone with it all these years, but I had to stop and think on this one. Because nation is could be the right word. That's going to bug me now until I really, really decide. So he will multiply his nation and increase their gladness. Their gladness. As man, not men. Man, the word man is coming from our Creator's definition of the word man is male and female. I made man, male, and female. So, I wanted to change that. I changed this letter. As man rejoices. So, well, that's not, I understand that. I seen your text here. Some people refer to the abyss as the void in their text. Let's put it this way. There's a lot of coding going on right now. Example, if you've ever heard of the flat earthers, well, that's them fighting with their people saying your world, you shouldn't have that round look anymore, get rid of it, exit out. So they come up with a new thing arguing about flat earth is flat, not round, like their belief. So the ones that you're going to talk to, if you only go there once or twice, and just talk to them and ask them things, because like I said, it's only going to be like a half hour out there. I tell you not to attack them. That's when they get pissed off, and then they'll start, but not all of them understand how to freeze the soul to stop you from returning, and you'll die. That's the thing. Your body, when they try to kill you, when you wake up, your body is colder. The last time I woke up, I was so cold. It was like hot August night, and I'm going into the closet getting blankets out, wrapping my body, and it was like a half hour before my body wasn't cold at all. That was that was me going after, who was that? The Aztec god, the god of the Aztec god. I challenged different gods from different religions out there, but you got to make like 50, 60 trips to understand what's going on. At least, I know I must have took at least that many trips, but yeah, I was really out trying to save the world by convincing them. It didn't work, but a little bit stubborn. And this is not this. You can't divide heaven up as a spoil. They will be not glad, but happy from his presence. They've been waiting for him a long time. Almost 1,000 years, close to, I think it was like 800 years that they waited for Jesus, since the time David was told. No, it wasn't that long. Maybe 600 years before, yeah. Maybe it's closer to 6. Now this is our creator, so happy, and actually I'm word coding here. Increase their gladness with the happiness of his presence. Then man will rejoice. I got to get rid of the S. Because then when Jesus becomes king in heaven, he is allowed to forgive any high moral people to enter into heaven from any time. From any time. And this is our Creator's promise to him. So then man will rejoice. When they all find out that everyone can go to heaven from anywhere, that's what's going. And then I got a 3 verse. Now I went right straight to a 4 verse. So if this is the statement here, I don't think I need this verse here. I'll get rid of that with the happiness from his presence. Then man will rejoice, meaning every race on earth will rejoice. Okay. Now that tells me that these two, and then this one does go up here, those two, and then these two. Okay. Now this, I could make in a 3 verse, but it's not, this is not true. But the object is that it could be if you were talking about returning to the land. But this text, they all haven't left the land, so I know that that is not good enough to be kept. Sorry, I just seen you ask or talking there, texting. Yes, you have to fall asleep to have your hard-on happen. Because if you stay awake, it just doesn't come up when you're awake. So you have to be asleep. But when your fingertips move, I guarantee you, you will instantly be there wide awake. And when you open up your eyes back on earth, you're going to say, your thoughts are going to be going crazy for about an hour. You're going to be thinking all kinds of things that you've never even thought of before. And that's what's so unique about that experience, that you'll just say, I come across this idiot on Twitch, and sure enough, it happened. But safe enough for a 13-year-old, because I started that practice when I was 13. Didn't figure it out, all of it out, until 16, because trying to learn how to stop. And I'll tell you what happens when you stop releasing your seed. You stop aging. I'm 68 here in another month. And I'm down here in Florida. And and I'm meeting a lot of old people. And when I tell them my age, they just look at me like they keep calling me young fella. The guy did that in the hospital the other day. And my dad's in there with me, and he says, "Hey, young fella, how you doing?" And I'm kind of like, I know I'm old, 10, 15 years older than the guy saying that. But anyways, I have a lot of explaining to do when I tell them how my age. But everybody guesses 24 years or more younger than what I really am. So, now here's something. Okay, here's something for you. And I usually don't go this far, but let me explain something. Okay. Now, what happens when you stop releasing your seed and you still share your love? Okay. The first thing you have to do is get close to a release and then stop and then suck up from your tailbone as hard as you can. What you've done is, by releasing your seed, these holes that allow fluid to keep you youthful, and I did mention before the fluid collects at the top of your head. Well, it now opens up to where it has a place to go, and it keeps you youthful. Now, if a woman or a female practices this, she does not have a monthly cycle, because a monthly cycle just means she has, she has lost, or she has not conceived. So she needs a cleaning out so she can still conceive. It just means a failure of conception. So she could not release her seed, still share her love, and actually a male's hard-on lasts a little longer this way. And what will happen is that both you will remain youthful. She won't have her monthly cycle. And then, I guess I should have put this one up first. It's a monthly cycle. Down here is the new moon, okay? And I have to say that I made this cycle. If you go up to the North Star and look down on the planet Earth, you would see that the moon cycles from right to left, okay? So that's why this is drawn this way. But your energy inside your body, example, if you slowly think from your forehead down your body, or down your throat, and then down your arm to your hand, and then back up, and you do this slowly a few times, you're going to feel like all of a sudden you can feel this energy moving, with your mind. You can actually move it with your mind. That energy is what I'm talking about here in this here. Your body is connected to all those stars and planets out there, but the moon has the greatest influence. So this, for a male and a female, the energy starts building up inside the body, and depending on the age, these are the times that you should be sharing your love, okay? Without releasing your seed. After the new moon appears, then it's kind of like you really don't, except for when you really start to learn this practice, that you'll need. See how I've got even warnings on the ages that you might need to have this before you release your seed when you're sleeping. And then it rests. This energy rests in your body. Now, what happens is you're sharing your love, and you actually play the game of making your balls get tight and then loose. And you know that because you're getting close. So you tell her to slow down or stop. And once they start moving down, then you can keep sharing your love. You can do this game of on, off, wax on, wax off type of thing. But the thing here is you'll find you can share your love for probably up to 30, 40 minutes. 3-4 times a day for like 4 days in this area here. So that's how powerful that energy is if you don't release your seed. What happens is that when you share your love multiple times, all of a sudden you don't have a stiffness. But if you listen to your body and watch your body, after about an hour, you'll end up peeing. And then I would suggest a half hour after you're peeing, you can go back and you'll find that you can repeat at least 30 minutes of sharing your love. Now, this is for the month, okay? And then the first one I had is for the whole season, that you should only be sharing your love once you understand this and live it for a few years. You'll find that you only need to share your love during these months. And then nothing here, lesser and lesser. So the winter months are not. The ground is frozen. Our Creator's teaching you that no action, no growth, everything is to rest. Okay. Let's see if I hope you got screenshots of these, but what you do this, you will actually help your wife not to have her monthly sex or monthly cycle. You'll enjoy sharing your love more often. You'll understand the correct times. Once you understand this and live this, porn is dead. Porn is dead. It's just stupid once you understand to use your sharing love to remain youthful looking. So releasing is the last thing you want to do, unless you want to create a child. Then you know that actually a male seed becomes yellow by doing this. So you must release your yellow seed one day, and then 24 hours later it will be white to create a child. Okay, now I've got the video I got is called Sex by Using the Sun and Moon. I don't know if that's going to come up in the search or not, but Sex by Using the Sun and Moon. And what you're going to find after 3 years, you're going to pick up a book that's known as The Art of War. And when you read it, you're going to say, well, I can read some of this, but I can't read some of this. And that's because some of that information is for males and some of that's for females. Now that you know that secret, when you read it, you're going to say, well, this is what I've been doing. And you're going to find out the Book of War is actually the sex practice that I just told you about. But it's funny how men who figured this out thousands of years ago, written it in words to hide it, yet passed it to each other and just told them what I told you. And this is the book that'll help you out. You're going to laugh because that's actually a book that's studied in every military military training or whatever for leaders. That book is always used, and it's funny because it's The Art of War by Sun Tzu is actually a book on sex, and they think it's about military action. Well, it's about military action when you think about it. Soldiers stand up and salute, don't they? Anyways, thanks. I enjoyed that a little bit there, but anyways, I got to get going here. Although it's only been an hour and a half, so that's not bad. But I haven't got that far. How many verses are in this one? If it's 30, I'd be mad. No, it's only 21, so it might take me another hour and a half, which is okay. But a lot of things to learn from a guy who says our Creator made me see him. So, okay. For every boot of the booted warrior in a tumult, in the battle of a tumult, the cloak rolled in blood will be for burning fuel for the fire. 2 oversalted words there. Now here, we're talking about Jesus again. A child will be born to us. A son will be given to us. Okay. So it looks like there's enough to get 4 verses out of here. So, but if there's a missing word too, it becomes 3 verses here. A child would be born, not to us, for us. So a lot of times when you looking for descriptions of defining words, of how they used a word, you can see the word here, child, is being used from not a baby, but up to weaning stage here. A child is up to being weaned, a weaned child. So a child, now you understand what they mean by the word child, will be born for us. Or a son will be sent. Our Creator to tell him he's going to send him, so it better be sent. Sent to us. And this is going to be wrong. And his name will be called it's got to be our here. Make it first person. Now I have to find out what other words will be done. Okay, once you pay attention to the sun and moon, you'll really have you're gonna walk around and tell them porn is just stupid, man. Porn is not stupid. But yeah, people run it. People once they'll find out that our Creator was actually telling you, if you paid attention to your body, he was teaching you these things. You just went past them. I was more observant and listening to those words or those actions from my body. So let me go over here, and it's on 6. So I gotta come down here. And what is it? Wonderful. Let's see. Called wonderful. This is mighty. Okay. This is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I don't like that either. Although if I use counselor, see, what happens when they use the word twice in a row, they'll say give counsel. They'll change one of these words to be counsel and the other one give. So they stick with this advice, and then they give counsel, give advice once, give counsel twice. Receive counsel, take counsel, took counsel. Okay, but just this once as counselor, meaning Jesus. Okay, now wonderful counselor. Not wonderful, our greatest counselor. Because you got to remember, at Moses' time, he was a judge, and they got a lot of laws from him. So he was like a judge would be a counselor. But a wonderful counselor, that really doesn't define what Jesus did. But he did, trying to think of many other words that could go there. I still have to say greatest counselor. Greatest counselor. Because he's not wonderful, doesn't fit Jesus as to be properly what we know what he done. Our greatest counselor, because he fulfilled all the statutes, commandments, laws, and guidances. That's the way I divide them up. And that makes a 4-verse format. So I've got that, I got this, and I got this. Now I'm looking for the second part of this. There will be no end to his, I'm going to put kingdom in again. And this. But they put it in that there, I'm going to use that. And then his kingdom coming from our creator. So I should have put half and a half. And this is not right. That should be down. No end, no ending. No ending. But to the increase, now the thing here is that's wrong. That word is definitely wrong. And I'm going to explain that. Let me do this here before I get carried away. And that is because when Jesus, well, maybe if you hear me, maybe I'll be changing my mind when I'm thinking. When Jesus is coming, it's the end of man on earth. Okay. And then those that are going to go to heaven are going to heaven, and those that are going to be in the abyss that he's divided, then our creator is going to end up establishing another place called hell, and they're always going to be divided from his heaven, at least as far as I know right now. We don't know what our creator might change his mind after a few trillion years, and some of them down there might actually be repenting down there for that long, and then he'll say, okay, a few more of you guys can come out, or people can come out and join us in having a good life. But no ending to the increase of his kingdom. If I'm using the word increase, that means more and more people that believe Jesus is their Redeemer to enter into heaven. Is that how they would use the word increase? There will be no ending to the increase of his kingdom. Okay, I'm going to leave it as that. I'm just struggling with that. Increase. Okay. Mighty God, eternal Father, Prince of Peace. See, you can tell that that is not the same style as writing as this above it and below it. Too small, defined without, I'm not adding but one small word between it. So that is out. Okay. Sometimes that's just how it is. You can tell when it breaks down that it's not the same writer writing. So there will be no increase, no ending to the increase of his kingdom. Or a peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom to establish it. Now, this tells me that's divided. Now, this would mean from his death on. From then on to forever. No, because man dies, man ends on earth. There's no more man on earth. Or peace. There'll be to increase his kingdom. This I can't use. This I don't see as reasonable enough to use. For his kingdom is established. For his kingdom there will be no ending to the increase of his kingdom. For his kingdom will be established. Hold it with justice and righteousness. That's how you get in. Righteousness, being obedient to our Creator, is how you enter into heaven. His is the justice. So I can't use this to match as this is the last verse. This is very well. Let me see. Can I use more text down here? Will be established by the zeal of. I was going to use that. By the zeal, promise. Yeah, that's maybe. That was his promise to, let me show you from Abraham's time. Here in Genesis 17, we learn that he's changed his name from Abram to Abraham, and he's going to establish his promises between him and his descendants. And he's going to have kings shall come forth from you. Then we have to go to 18:18, and then from this is a king, in him, a king, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. This, I would say, is races on the earth, not nations. The land and the kingdoms don't, or nations or whatever. It's the people that are in them. So this is races on earth will be blessed. We don't know what the word blessed means until David's time, when he says that he's going to establish his kingdom in heaven. And then that is the only words there from Nathan, why we will enter into heaven. Okay, and then this is promised. This is repeating the same as above, but it starts way back from Abraham, because he was willing to kill his son and trust our Creator to the fullest. And as Creator, he can recreate him another son. So the promise from YV goes all the way back to Abraham. Okay. Now that would fulfill this. Now I've got to say, what is the next part here? Lord sends a message against Jacob and falls on Israel, and all the people know it, that Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria assert in pride and arrogance of their heart. The bricks fall down, but we will rebuild with smooth stones. Sycamores will be well, here's sex in the Bible, meaning males. Sycamore trees, yeah, maleness is sycamores, will be cut down, but we will replace with cedars, upright and straight members. So this is not truthful for the text. But therefore YV races against them adversaries from rising, and spurs their enemy on. The Armenians are on the east, the Philistines on the west. This is wrong. They're down below. David sent them below the Egyptian river. And they devoured Israel with gaping jaws. No, that's not true. So therefore YV raises against them adversaries. This guy is from Damascus, which means the Armenians. So adversaries from the Armenians, and spurs their enemy on. No, this is all out. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn away. His hand is still stretched out. Yet the people who do not turn back to him, who struck them, nor do they seek YV. So YV cuts off the head and tail of it, both palm branch and bulrush, in a single day. No text there. The head of the elder, the honorable man, the prophet who teaches falsehood, is the tail. Prophets never do that. Prophets are the ones that are most dedicated to our Creator. That's why he has them as prophets. Don't see it. For those who guide his people are leading them astray, and who are guiding them are bringing confusion. Now this is a 4-verse, but it's going to be something all on its own. although I can see this text wanting to go with this. This would have to be our teaching falsehoods, teaching lies. And this goes to the fact that they went away from our Creator, started having this meditation practice to follow after their gods and goddesses. So this is our teaching lies. Those guiding. Or guiding our people so I got to have the word who are teaching this way, and then it's going to go with this verse here, who are teaching lies, are guiding our people to lead them away from him, Jesus. But I got to say this. This. This I've already gotten mentioned. Now, elder. So this, I would say no. But I would say if it's that bad, it's our elders now have left our Creator. So this has to be like S, our elders. The elders. Now our elders. Now he's telling about the time of what's going on. So I'm going to put it as I'm adding it and saying that's one verse, that's two verse. And honorable men. Now, how do I put? Now we know who they are. Don't need that. This goes up here. I know this is not true. Now our elders and honorable men Is honorable meaning who? Because honorable isn't really, it's like maybe the rich, privileged is what I'm thinking. So let me see here. Let me go to 15. And honorable. Honorable goes to the word because 80 times. Defer direction. Now animal. Before, it's used as the word before 875 times, and they changed it to be honorable. I'll tell you, this is disgusting sometimes. They actually changed it 3 times. Front, leading men are no, or teaching men. Now our elders and our teachers of men or of man are teaching lies. Yeah, I changed. That shouldn't have been. This should have been green. So what am I doing there? I added that. That's green. Our honorable. Sorry, I went over to the other side real quick, but still, I've got to come back here and figure this out. Respected. Man, I was thinking they would be the wealthy, so they would be respected. That would be better than honorable, because I want the word honorable to be connected to being righteous. Righteous people are honorable. I can't have them honorable being that they're really evil. That's I'm trying to wordsmith everything to relate to all the other 180,000 words that when they all go together, that I don't do this deception of words. And I am struggling with this. I am going to change the word so bad that I gotta say I gotta add it. And that is, and I gotta put the word our here, because now our elders and our if I put respectable in there, that isn't right, because that still is like honorable. It's tied to evil people. And I could put one word in there like judges or scribes, but that's not enough. And our honorable and our really now our elders. that were honorable men. That were honorable men. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. That were our honorable men. Are teaching lies. Oh, what am I doing? Why did I try so hard? Because now I got a 5 verse. Now our. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I was struggling with this, I'm going to get rid of this. And say, now our elders are teaching lies. Now our elders are teaching lies and guiding, okay, yeah, and guiding our people to lead them away from Jesus. Okay. Now that I gotta leave out because that's a double of what this text is saying. They are bringing confusion. They have brought about deception. They brought deception. Therefore, our Lord does not take pleasure in their young men. That how you do that? You can't do that. You can't do this. Our Creator created everybody. He started out that everybody's okay. Here you go. Are brought to confusion. Nor does he have pity. There's missing words from here to here. This, yeah, skip all that and it picks right up. That is the next verse from that text. And that's what happens sometimes. When I get rid of all this text, I would not be surprised if this just keeps reading like it was the way it was. And they put all that text in between it. Yeah, digging it out, there it is. He will not have pity on it. No. And the orphans and widows, every one of them, is godless and evildoer. Okay. Now, let's do this. Let's just get rid of those. And now these words continue with this words. That's for sure. For every one of them is godless and an evildoer. And I'm not even going to correct one little word there. Or change it. For every mouth is speaking their foolishness. Now, because we have everyone, we just can't have elders here. This has to be now our people. Meaning it's too late. They've all fallen away. Some of them don't have the practice. Others are doing what they do. or to do what they do. The example, let me show you here in Jeremiah, that he's having an argument with them about being on to the Queen of Heaven and what they're doing, how the women need making these cakes for her, they're pouring out oils or different wines, and then they're all happy because they're arguing with him. And he said, look, our forefathers are kings, and I would say they're priests, because at Judah's time they were. The priests allowed the king of that time to put his carving of his female goddess image into his meeting room with him. That's why our Creator prophesied they defiled my house. In the city of Jews' streets, they did all these things. So it has to be now our people. For every one of them is a godless, I did have to correct it, evildoer. For every mouth is speaking their foolishness. And I described the foolishness that they talk about. So that went over well, believe it. So this has been a pretty good video so far. In spite of his anger, this has to be like the word although. Although it's anger. Although he is angry. Angry. I don't know. No. Angry. Angry. Okay. I just have this stuck in my head and I can't think of a word here or how to spell. That's what happens. Got so much going on in my little head. His anger. Okay. Although he is angry. Or why? Boy, was that tough. Although he is angry, he is going to turn away from him, so this is wrong. His hand is reaching out. I'm going to put that as one meaningful word. His hand is reaching out, telling you to repent. Yet this doesn't connect. This surely doesn't connect. So see, now I've got two words here that want to go and tell the truth that he still wants you to repent. So that's missing. They got it missing. So I'm going to have a half a piece of something. This is not true. Oops, that one. A slice off from the right hand, and the hungry they will eat it, and the left hand they are satisfied eating their own. Yeah, right. See, now they're going to repeat it again. So, nope, they stopped right there. And since I have no text, I've got to get rid of this text. And what I'm going to do is just make it 8 point. When I do that, I come back and look to see if I found it. Got any extra text that I need or whatever I can use. But okay, now it's cleanup time for chapter 9. Let's save that. Pull up the text here. Gotta get. Okay. Oh, the other way. Well, let me see here. All this blue text is going to be out. So I can just do that. Yep, and then this is going to be out. So come down here. Now, how come it isn't erasing all that? My macro has stopped working, and that was a real good one because it left it this way. Oh, I know. I haven't rebooted my computer because I know it was working earlier today. No, let me go here and put no. Okay. Now I got to get rid of these. That macro was so good it would have got rid of that little edit right there. Okay, so I got to grab this because I do believe there's 2 parts to this. So yeah, 3 verse, 2, then 1, then there's got to be 2 here. And now all of a sudden there's this 4, 4. So this is part 2. But this is going to continue with 4. But this is like what a prophet is going to say after he prophesies. He's going to argue with them. So, this is grouped together. This is grouped together way too well. So, but that's the format that was found here in 9, and I'm going to pull it out and make it smaller. You want a screenshot, grab it, and then take a look and say, look, he did this wrong, oh, okay, first time poster, pistol loving loony. Now that one I can read, and I can read that. That's pretty good. Mr. Christian guy. Actually, our creator made me see him. I don't have a belief. What happens when you post a text, I get to see whether you've posted before at any time. So I get to know you as the first time you've been here. So, all right. Well, take care of yourself. Have a good night. Okay, so this is what, sorry about that. I'm going to have to cut this video up later. So if I get to it here, this is the text that I've got from 9, and all the text that you can see here does speak to Jesus, and then the people who are guiding them away, which causes them to go into captivity. So I put it as a screenshot for you, and then you'll be fine if you read that. Because I said there's many pieces, and I'll put them together the best I can. And then we'll have those to go together as a full book. Either some pieces might go other places, but we're going to get the best words I can find in the first writer's formats. So other than that, better put a save on that, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you wanted to chime in, as you see, I do not mind chatting with the chat board, although it seems that YouTube's chat has disappeared on me here. So sorry. I'm going to try to check that to see if any... no, I don't see anybody from YouTube chatting.